Good morning, gardeners. It's Ed with Unkie Ed's Garden, and today we're going to talk about how to prune and maintain your tomato plants. The best way, in my opinion, that I've tried, and now how to keep your tomato plants and how to prune them and maintain them. There's so many different ways. You can go to 5 different gardeners in your neighborhood right now and probably see 5 different methods. So I've tried a lot of different ways and I've done a lot of research, and my favorite way that I'm using right now is something that we can borrow from big ag, big greenhouse growers, market growers, because it just is the most efficient, the cleanest, and the easiest way to do it, and also increasing your yield per square foot, which helps out a lot if you're in a small garden situation. So come with me and I'll show you exactly how we do it. All right, first I want to start off by saying in this video we're going to be talking about indeterminate tomatoes, not determinate tomatoes. Determinate tomatoes are your Romas or your other paste tomatoes that do not grow and produce all season long. They grow in the spring and summer, they produce their whole thing of fruit, and then you pick them. These are indeterminate tomatoes that I'm growing, that I'm talking about, because these are the ones that continue to grow and produce all year and make it real tough to prune and maintain. We're going to start by showing you how they grow. So it's a vine, and tomatoes will grow a vine, and they'll put out leaves, and they'll put out flower stalks or flower trusses that will eventually be your fruit. Now, so you'll see that there are places like this, take you in here, where the leaf has come out from the stem. This is the continued stem, and there's a little scar here, a little nub, because that's where a sucker came. So the suckers are what I'm talking about here. The suckers will come out, and from that little armpit, that little crotch, will grow a whole nother tomato plant. That's how you get big bushy plants that are hard to maintain, because new tomato plants just keep coming out all over the place. So what you want to do is come in here, look around, look at all your little spots where suckers could be, pull them out, and keep going up your vine until you see something like this. So here we have our vine, and it continues this way. It put out a leaf, a sun leaf, and the vine continued, and here's more vine going, but right here is a sucker. This thing will grow fast and become a big bushy tomato out here. We don't want that. So the way I'm growing is getting rid of my suckers. These little ones, you can just bend back and forth, pick right off. And then if we follow the stem, it continues up here. This is all of our new growth. This is going to be over here. This is our tomato. So we have another leaf coming off, and we have a bigger sucker here. We want to get rid of this one. So something like this, you can still rip off if you want. When they're this big, I like to come in with some pruners and just clip it. Now this little piece, you can put this in water and root it. It's a little late in the season for me here to do that, and I don't really have any space. So that's just going to go to my compost pile. But you're going to do that so you have a whole plant that's just one stem. This is called a single leader method, because we only have one vine. We're not letting it throw suckers out all over the place and become a huge bushy plant. Now when you get up close to the top, you'll see in here, you can probably make a pretty good guess of maybe something in here is a sucker. I like to just be careful, stay away from this top a little bit, let that form, and then you'll easily see the suckers. But they will keep trying later. Right here, even though I've pulled the sucker, it's trying again. So go back, rip that guy out. So the reason we do this is obviously it makes it easier to maintain. It opens up airspace in there to prevent from diseases and insects. It makes it easier to see everything. And also, all of these roots, this whole plant, all these leaves, all the roots in here can now focus just on everything on this one stem. So this whole thing will grow taller. And now I'm not using cages or stakes. The method I'm using is called a string trellis. Now all I have is a string here. It goes all the way down. Some people will just tie them right to the plant. I like to tie it to a garden staple. I have like a 10-inch garden staple in here that I tied it to, because if it gets windy and you're supporting it down here, if you tied the string to the bottom of this plant, sometimes the wind can shake that loose. So I like to stake it to the soil, real nice and tight. And then all I use is these garden clips. These are super cheap on Amazon, cheap string. And you want to use something that doesn't cut into the plant too much. So you can find that cheap, easy. But then wherever I put a clip and wherever the string goes, I'm real careful not to mess with the flowers. So up here you'll see, here's our main stem. This right here has grown this giant truss of flowers. I want to keep this string away from this little elbow here. So what I'll do is the next time I clip this, we're going to wrap this here, and I'll show you in a second how I clip that. But this is plenty. All you need is these clips and this string, and this will grow all the way up your string. Another thing that's important to mention in this process is at the bottom, once you've got a good amount of leaves, you can start taking leaves off the very bottom that are starting to die and look a little crispy and get old, and that really opens up the airflow here for you. Even when you first transplant these, by the way, you don't want any leaves touching the ground. That's a huge issue with tomatoes. They get a lot of diseases splashed up from the dirt. Insects can crawl up on them and do a lot of damage. Prune the tomato, even the sun leaves, on the bottom until nothing's touching the floor. But as you grow a big healthy plant, you can start pulling these leaves off the bottom. I want to take you over to an example now that I saved. I thought I was going to do this video a couple days ago, and obviously things come up, you procrastinate, and so now it's even bigger of a mess. But I left a sucker on my big lemon boy tomato here so I could show you guys what it looks like. It almost gets harder to see because it just disguises the rest of the plant. So we'll come in here. It's a little bushy, so I'll start from here. Here's our single stem, right? And our main stem, our big leader guy, is going this way. We like that. But if you look in real close here, here's our leaf off the main stem. This was a sucker, right? I mean, it still is, but look at how big that is. Here's our main vine. So I'll zoom out and show you that sucker has become the beginning of a whole new tomato plant. So when I'm going to come in, it seems like a little bit barbaric here, but I'm going to go in and cut that entire sucker right off. And now, like I mentioned before, this can be rooted. You would just remove these bottom couple leaves here, leave those on, root it way down in some soil, and you got yourself a new tomato plant. They root pretty easy, and then they start to grow pretty vigorously. So yeah, I mean, what's that, $5 at the nursery right now? So go ahead and root yourself a sucker. Okay, so after we've removed our sucker, we're left with our long leader. Now this should be longer at this point, but because that sucker was taking so much energy, it kept going. And now as you look in here, that's going to be the continuation of the plant. But after that, our last clip is way down here, and we've got all this plant growth. I mean, that's another 16, 18 inches of plant. So all we do, come down here, we grab one of our tomato clips. These are really great. They bend, and you capture the string right in this little spot here. That holds it onto the string, and then this just clips right around the tomato. So what I'm going to do right here, again, this is not a flower, this is a leaf, so I'm okay with that. I'm going to put the clip just below this split. That holds the clip to that spot there and helps keep the tomato snug. We're going to come in, we're going to clip it to the string. Now it's tight to the string. Go around our tomato, clip it right in. Okay, so we have that big sucker removed. We got it clipped on here, and I just wanted to show you what do we got here. It's a test. That's another sucker that I noticed. Get all those off. Get all those off, guys. They're taking energy from the rest of the plant and keeping everything bushy. There we go. And we should have these guys ripening in no time. So guys, walk around, do this to all your tomatoes. You'd be surprised how fast it goes. I did this entire 8x4 bed, which is 8 tomatoes, in well under 10 minutes. It's also a great time to get in there and see how your plants are doing. Look for diseases, look for insects, just the general health of your plants. Now, as far as your strings, guys, just any sort of contraption that's strong enough to hold the weight of these tomatoes is good. What I have here, and you'll notice, like I said in previous videos, I do things on a budget around here. So what I have, I build with. So as long as it's stable enough to hold that string, you're good. There's all kinds of contraptions you can make. Get conduit line and pipes, and they're pretty cheap, real easy. Everything about this is cheap, as long as you have something to hang these strings on. So on this one, I just ran wood up to the top, made a basic rectangle structure, and then tied more wood across. We've got little holes just to secure it into that spot. There we go. All right, guys, so that's it. Hopefully this helped you in any way at all. And if it did, please like, subscribe. I'm sure I missed a lot. If there's any questions you guys have or anything that you think I missed that's important, comment down below. I check those all the time, and I will get back to you. Make another video or answer in the comments. But that's the way that I grow my tomatoes. I think it's the best way, and I'll keep you posted monthly and weekly on how things are going. But get out there, take off your suckers, buy yourself some string and some clips, and get producing like the pros do. Have a good one.